A new story, a new face.
Hello, Joy Tribe. Welcome back to The Joyful Life. This is my podcast. We drop every Friday. Welcome to the show. I'm really happy that you're here. And today we're going to talk about some subjects. I think we're going to flit around a little bit. We had some really spicy, fun discussions on my my live stream on Wednesday on my YouTube, which I invite you, listeners and viewers alike, to be a part of it. It is Wednesdays at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, right on my YouTube channel, youtube.com/MissJoyVilla. And we have a great time, a jolly old time, where we talk about a lot of different things. It's the Joy Tribe Live. And this week we talked about relationships. A lot about relationships. So also on my YouTube channel, there's like little clips of my shows that's being released. So if that's something that you like, I mean, the 5 pillars of joy are family, finance, fitness, freedom. We have family, finance, fitness, freedom, and faith. So these are 5 pillars of joy. And one of them, my last show, I think I was stumbling over them trying to remember. I got some comments from you guys. It's a very natural show. I'm recording this live. I don't edit this podcast. If you're wondering whether you're listening or viewing, it's recorded in one take because it keeps it authentic. It keeps it genuine. So if I stumble, if I whatever, make a mistake, that's me. It's a conversation. It's between you and me. That's what I love about it, and I like to keep it somewhat personal. My lovelies, my lovely Joy Tribe out there, future Joy Tribers as well. If this is your first time listening, by the way, my name is joyvilla, singer, songwriter, actress, outspoken woman of God, outspoken woman, public speaker, model. I do a lot of different things, author, and podcast host. This podcast is really something that allows me to have a clear communication with you and to be honest and to be real. And I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. So I'm very grateful that you're here. So eventually we will have some guests as well on this beautiful, joyful life show. And I welcome upcoming guests. We're getting it together, organizing it. So for now, it's little old me and you. So today I want to talk about introverted people. I don't know why I said it like that, but introverted. Introverted is because I've been hanging out with some Europeans lately, some Brits. I lived in the UK for 2 years, so I've traveled around. I've studied and traveled in the UK for years. I lived in Denmark for years. I lived in South Africa for half a year, and I've lived overseas on 3 great continents, right? Yeah, Europe, America, and Africa. It's pretty amazing. Traveled to 39 countries at the time of this podcast recording. Whew. I have got some travel stories. I love sharing travel stories, and I think I will in a bit. I promised Joy Tribe that you guys would hear from a fan of mine. And I didn't get this on last week. I was watching the re-recording and a lot of you guys were like, where's that video you said you promised you would have from a fan, somebody you met who said, oh, you're amazing, and you never played that. So without further ado, I'm going to find it right now. I'm going to go through my phone and find it. We've had so many adventures this last couple weeks. And I want to talk about the subject being introverted, being not antisocial, but not being a social person, and the difference between being extroverted and being introverted. And what does that actually mean? Because a lot of people are confused. Like, what is that, right? When you're introverted, does that mean you hate people? Does that mean you never go out? Does that mean you don't talk to others? Does that mean you're not, a person who likes to be social? Well, not exactly. Let me tell you about that. First, though, let me find this clip as I stall a little bit. Joy Tribe. I've got a lot of selfies, a lot of good memories. Okay, here we go. So this is from a fan who met me in Clearwater, Florida. I'm going to play this. Oh, airplane mode is on, so I can't download it. Okay. Hold on. This is all live. Here we go. Okay, you guys. So I ran into a joy triber here. What's your name? Sandrine. So she came up to me. We're across the Starbucks. She said, "Can I get a picture with you?" She started saying some beautiful words of encouragement. So I said, "Can I get a picture with you?" Yeah. We took a picture. So Sandrine, what were you saying? She is a warrior. She's a humanitarian. She's saving so many souls. She's speechless now. It's so hard to repeat. It's so hard. You're incredible. You are safe, and you're such a great influence. She's a great influence for women, and she's outstanding. And people, like, if you don't already follow her, you need to follow this woman, okay? This woman is setting the standard, and she is changing lives. I mean, it's weird. I actually felt like I was going to bump into someone today that either recognized me or because I'm like a comedian. I used to work with this young man named Danny Mullen, but I'm going to tag you. Can I post this? Oh, you totally have this. There we go. So that's Sandrine. I wanted to play that last week's episode. Thank you for allowing me to play that for you. Not to humble brag, but really, truly to say how much I appreciate you, Joy Tribe. When you come up, Sandrine, shout out to you. When you come up to me like that, it makes my day. It absolutely makes my day. It makes me feel like $1 million. And it creates such a feeling of that I'm doing this for a reason. You know, I've always been very straight up that I do what I do for the glory of God and because it's in my heart to do it and it makes me happy, but overwhelmingly for you, for my listeners, my viewers, the people who watch me and listen to me and support me. Oh, I couldn't do it without you. Truly. Because knowing that you guys at the other end of this camera are listening and watching and supporting and going through struggles of your own, communicating with me, you know, she revealed a lot of personal details with me, which I'm in good contact with that young lady, Sandrine, and I want to help her out as much as possible, and, everyone's going through something. Whether it's family issues or emotional issues or confidence issues, performance, being a performer, everybody goes through issues, right? The thing is, the point of this podcast, too, The Joyful Life, is not to pretend like we don't go through issues or to have that toxic positivity. Do you know what I'm talking about? There's this thing called toxic positivity, which I really felt very aligned with. Not that it represents me, but because it's represented how I thought I had to be before. So I'm a very positive person. I travel the world. I do music. I'm very outspoken, and my name is Joy. So of course I'm going to be happy. But I have felt like I have to be happy sometimes, even when I don't feel happy. And that's from growing up, traveling, moving around a lot as a kid, also from being a performer, okay, being an actress, being an artist, being someone who knows how to control my emotions on cue for the camera. That has damaged me somewhat. Not in a point to where I feel like I'm a victim of anything, but just being straight up honest with you, being able to handle my negative emotions when I actually feel them and talk about them and be straight up and honest and bold. I haven't always been able to do that. I have felt guilty before for feeling sad or for feeling depressed or for feeling down because I say, well, other people have it way worse than me. I heard someone talk about imposter syndrome. I had dinner the other day with someone who was going through that. And he was telling me how he has a good life. He comes from a wealthy family. He's wealthy. He's in business. He does great things. He's moving and shaking. But he sometimes feels guilty for feeling sad because other people have it way worse. I don't like this whole privilege thing where if you're born a certain way, you should feel guilty for it. you're white, you should feel guilty for it. Or you're a man, you should feel guilty for it. Or you're an attractive woman, you should feel guilty for that. No, no, baby, you shouldn't feel guilty for anything you are. Because I'll tell you what, some of the most wonderful people I know have been born disadvantaged, and they don't look at people who are advantaged as better than them, or like those people should be feeling guilty. How dare you? That's a victim mindset. Like, how dare you be born rich because I was born poor? No, you know what those people who are born poor, a lot of them do, who are successful now? They make it happen. They make it happen. You know, you're born without a leg. How many people have seen those, triumphant Olympic, Paralympics, what's it called? Paraplegic people. It's called Special Olympics. There we go. Special Olympics, where somebody has an issue with their body, right? They're not as able-bodied as you or me, yet they overcome incredible odds to make it, because that's the human spirit. That's the spirit, baby. The spirit is greater than the circumstances. And when you remember that and you thank God for everything that you've gone through, you say, thank you, Lord, this is a blessing. You stay humble and you're grateful for even your misadventures or your missteps, and you use them to learn and grow from. That is when you can't feel guilty for being blessed, because you know you've been through troubles and struggles, and you know that you've earned what you have. And you've been blessed with what you have because you have a clean conscience and a clear heart. Now, if you feel guilty for doing well, maybe it's because you don't have a clean conscience. Maybe it's because you do need to examine what you've done. Maybe you've done something bad, or you're allowing other people to make you feel like you've done something bad. There is also that other end of it, to where when I hear someone who says, oh, yeah, I'm such a victim, and I don't have this, I don't have that, and it's always someone else's fault. There's something in the back of my head that makes me think, yeah, but what did you do? You're telling me your mommy didn't hug you enough, your daddy, abused you. I get it, but what did you do or not do? I'm not saying it's your fault if you've been victimized, but you don't have to be a victim of your circumstances forever. Otherwise we all would have a sad story. I've been through abuse. I've been through incredible obstacles, but I don't let that carry me. I carry my light to shine no matter what, but I also don't deny what I've been through. I also don't deny my sad emotions or my bad emotions. I don't deny that I'm a human being that also struggles, as well as being a spiritual being who can succeed. Life is not about being perfect. So the toxic positivity says you must have a smile on your face at all times. You must be completely happy and just think positive. Everything is okay. Everything is going to be okay. And I don't disbelieve thinking positively is a good thing. Don't get me wrong. But I would never want our mental health journey, our joyful living journey, to be about pretending to be something you're not, right? Or not being willing to accept that you are struggling. Perhaps you are overweight. You are broke. Perhaps you are left in the dust. Perhaps you did do something you regret. You cheated on them, or you got fired for a rightful reason, or you lied and you got caught, or you didn't get caught, but the guilt is eating you up, or you took advantage of someone, or you allowed yourself to be taken advantage of. Okay, be aware of it. Identify that there's problems, that there's issues there. Find tools and move on. Give it up to God and move on. Find the tools you need to get through it and move through it, not over it, because the only way out is the way through. But don't forget to move on. We can't keep letting our past victimize us. Don't let your past victimize your future. And also, don't judge your future. Don't make decisions based on, but what if I mess up in the future? Yeah, but what if you don't? So you have to think positively, but with a dose of reality. don't think if I just think right, like I wake up and if I just think positively, my future husband's going to jump through the window and find me. No. But if you go outside, you put a little action behind the positive thinking, and you also say, well, today I don't feel so good. And when someone asks, how you doing? You say, I could be better. And you're realistic rather than, oh, I'm great. I'm good. Let me put on my fake AI face. Let me be artificially enhanced. It doesn't do you any favors. It doesn't do anyone any favors. It's toxic positivity. So I don't like that. It's something that I actually try not to do because it can be really harmful rather than being honest. And I do think that the world is moving towards a more honest, real, approachable communication, like, yeah, I'm not feeling so good, but I'd like to share that with you. And you trust the other person rather than thinking you always have to be feeling good and you can't trust the other person. There's obviously a time and a place for everything, Don't share all your heartbreak and your trauma on the first date. Don't tell somebody, at work all about your drama. But there's a good line of sharing, not oversharing, but also not undersharing. Too often we just put on the facade and it makes us very lonely. It can be incredibly lonely when you feel like you can't be outspoken. So what does that have to do with being an introvert or an extrovert? Well, introversion and extroversion, if you do the Myers-Briggs, there's the Myers-Briggs personality tests. I am an INFJ. If you're interested in knowing about the Myers-Briggs personality test, you can take it free online. And it basically tells you different ways that you perceive the world. Are you sensing, feeling, how you think, how you process data, how you receive information, how you think with things, and how you basically process the world around you. So it's very interesting. And the two main things on it are you an introvert? And then it would be a combination of other letters. I can't tell you everything about it, but I just know I'm INFJ. Leave a comment on the YouTube channel or in the poll on Spotify if you know a little more about Myers-Briggs and you can tell me more about it. But there's archetypes, there's personality types that go with it. And it's backed by a little more science and research than some other things. That's why I like it. It's been around a while, I think since the 70s, correct me if I'm wrong, but it's quite fascinating. And my cousin told me about it to begin with. And so introvert is I, extrovert is E. So you either start with an I, INFJ, INEP, IN blah, 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 bunch of combination. I think there's 23, maybe more. Or an E, which is an extroverted. So ENFJ, ENP, EN blah, blah, blah. There's a bunch of letters that stand for different things. I'm sorry, I don't know all about it. But for the sake of just clarity, we're only going to talk about the I and the E today. So introverted would be somebody who, in very special or non-special rather, in very blatant and straightforward terms, an introvert gets their energy from being alone. An extrovert gets their energy from being around people. So that's it. It doesn't mean an introvert is always introverted, because there's also the term being introverted, which means being pulled in, being, sort of being in pulled into oneself, or being extroverted, which means attention is off of oneself. Those are two different things. When you use it as an adjective, introverted or extroverted, they're actually different than the noun introvert or extrovert. So that's something to keep in mind. I'm a very extroverted introvert. Nobody would ever guess I'm an introvert. Nobody would ever guess. Why? Because I'm extroverted. I like to spend time speaking and being around people and communicating and being outgoing. I have a big, outgoing, bold, colorful personality, but I'm an introvert. I get my energy from being home alone. It's work for me to socialize. It's not work for me to speak one-on-one or with a small group of people about deep-seated beliefs and ideas that I enjoy. That is the best. If you ever see me and you want to make small talk, please don't. If you ever see me out in public, just start talking about the nitty gritty, needy, maybe not needy, but the nitty gritty. There we go. The nitty gritty. I had a first date where we talked about so many different things: social norms, unnorms, deep-seated beliefs and ideas, like straight up on the first date, like within 30 minutes. And I loved it. We didn't talk about small talk. How were you raised? How many, where were you raised? We didn't talk about any of that stuff, which those can be deep-seated beliefs and ideas and concepts as well. But it was so enjoyable because we had real communication, and which is why I like going to dinner with someone, because I like to speak to them rather than doing activities where you don't get to know someone. You can do activities with someone. Those can be fun first date ideas too. But I like to really get to know somebody on an intellectual level and emotional level. If a person is extroverted, they like a lot of activity usually, and they get energy from being outside or with others. They could be home, but they'll have a group of people. You know those people. I've always had extroverted girlfriends, and they would come over and they're just loud and fun. Sometimes you can be extroverted and not even be loud, but you get your energy from being with people. You don't like to be alone much because it drains you. It makes you tired to be alone. But on the opposite, I love being alone. I could be home alone all day, recording my podcasts, calling my friends, watching films, working out, playing with my cats, putting on fashions, doing my makeup, cooking vegan food, journaling, reading a book. These are introverted activities, and I don't need anybody there with me to teach me or do it with me. An extrovert would say, oh, yeah, let's call a friend, bring a friend over. Let's do a group thing. A couple friends, right? Let's go out. Let's get the friends and then let's go out. Let's go out. Extroverts love going out. Now, there's no good or bad. These are just different personality types. What's the problem is when you try to make an introvert into an extrovert or an extrovert into an introvert, and you go against their natural type. If we are friends and you want me to go out every single night to some event or party or get together, I will be so burnt out. Let me tell you, it is work. It is work to socialize. I'm good at it. I'm extremely good at it. I'm very outgoing. I'm very good at, I can speak to anybody, anytime, any place, but it is work. And it is something that I do because I'm trained to do it. I learned how to extrovert, but this is how you can tell what you are. When you were a child, what was your natural inclination? Did you go up to people all the time? Or were you home alone coloring in the corner, and then kids came up to you when you were at school? You had that one bestie that you would go play, and everyone else you'd be a little shy around. You're probably an introvert. That's me. I was always drawing. I was always being able to have a relationship within myself, right? There's this circle of me to me, drawing, thinking. There's a whole universe inside my head where I can create and I can live in. And it's positive and it's fun. And I can do so many different things there. I can just, live there. But the negative thing is that can keep me in the house for too long. And then I can spend days in a house in my home creating and realize I do have to see some people. And then I'll start to feel a little bit like unsettled and not know why until I realize, I need to go outside. So that there's, none can live alone. You're not supposed to live alone. Humans were meant to have human interactions and connection. This is actually why I love living in big cities. I actually prefer big cities because I can be around people. I can be around the stimulation of others. I can talk to others, strangers, I can go buy flowers. I can have a cup of coffee. I can get a new vintage dress. I can go in and get get a massage or a facial. And to me, that's interacting with people. Then I can call my close friends and family, my best friends. I can call them or FaceTime them. But I don't need to have a gathering or a social event because for me, it's always work. Now, I like to work, but it's work. as opposed to the natural flow of things, right? So if I go to the gym, to me, that's a social thing. I've spoken to the person at the front. I probably chit-chatted with a few people at the, while we're they're deadlifting and we're, oh, you're going to use this machine? Yeah. I mean, to be honest, I don't chat that much with people in the gym, but I will if they talk to me, they come up to me, I love that, see somebody good looking and you compliment their muscles or something, there's just that kind of casual chit chat or flirtation or whatever there is, another fit girl, I'll be like, hey girl, you look good, but it's me with my music and I love it. But I like to be around people. I love people. I really love people. So I'm extroverted as an introvert. I'm not shy, but I enjoy my alone time. I was shy when I was a kid, but I've learned a lot of observing people. I've studied a lot, getting my certification as a counselor, doing this podcast, being out there, spending a lot of time. I go to church quite often. Getting out there around people, it has enabled me to relate to people on a different level. I love them. I love you guys. This is why I love my Joy Tribe too, because you guys get me, But it's something quite interesting to be a performer that relies on performance to make a living and be an introvert. This is what messes up a lot of artists, actors, musicians. Actually, a lot of musicians are actually introverts, believe it or not. But when we have to perform, some of us rely on chemical substances. It becomes too hard. There's too much pressure. We get burnt out. There's not enough alone time. Music suffers. The money dries up. People rely on, bad influences to keep going. And then you wonder why you never hear from them again. They don't do another album. They don't do another tour. Well, they were burnt out. They're not made for that life. They just wanted to create. But everything that comes with performing is usually a extroverted thing. I don't believe extroversion is bad at all. I shouldn't say extroversion because I believe in extroversion as opposed to introversion. You should have extroversion, have enough. Like if you get too introverted into your own thoughts, you do need to get out there. So I'll take walks or pet animals or talk to someone or just look at things, go outside and look. That gets my attention out of myself. Even watching a movie is my attention's out. But it's not necessarily being an extrovert. Now, being an extrovert would mean you enjoy social, you enjoy being the life of the party, you enjoy putting on parties, and that's life for you. That's what you like to do. When you go shopping, you grab a girlfriend. You're going to do something, you're going to go do sports. Guys, you got a couple of guy buddies that you go out with. You get your wingman always, and you bring a couple other people, I love that. I love extroverts because we need each other. I used to put more emphasis, I think, on do I want to date an extrovert or an introvert? And I don't think it matters unless the other person can't respect what I am. The only reason this matters is it's important to know thyself, right? It's important to know if you are an extrovert or an introvert and to know your social battery and to not feel guilty if you need to excuse yourself from the party. Because I've had that where I just get drained. I'm the life of the party. Because I am. When I go to a party, I am the life of a party. But it's work. And sometimes it can be like I'm wearing a mask. Like I'm putting this on purpose. I've done that before. I used to do that so much. Early in my career, being in films, I did something called background acting for my day job. It was my bread and butter. And I would make a living being in the background, being not in the audience. I did some audience work too. That's really tough. It can be tough. It's a very long hours, not great pay. But background work is great pay and you get fed and you're on set all day though. You hang out on set all day and you get paid about $150 for the day with good food and you're on a movie set. Something like 150, sometimes $200 a day. It's not a lot of money, but you only have to do that a couple days a week if you live with mom and dad or you live with a bunch of roommates. You're shacked up in North Hollywood with 7 other people. The actor's life of Los Angeles. Oh my God. But if you just do that, it's really so that was it was really lucrative, years ago, before I had a name for myself. And I used to, of course, dream and say, one day I'm going to star in those films. And now I have starred in feature films, which I'm really blessed to say. And, but one of the things was I forgot what film I was working on, but it was a movie that was beach. It was all beach. And I was in a bikini, and I love to be in a bikini. And I was dancing, I was laughing, and we had music on, and I got to know everybody. Oh, I was so the life of the party. I had so much fun. But after, we'd be on set for 7, 8, sometimes 10 hours. I remember feeling so incredibly drained and so incredibly not tired. I was drained. My social battery was drained. It wasn't that I was physically tired. I was emotionally spent. And I felt angry at other people. I felt resentful. And I remember there was my bestie on set, because you make these besties where, he was so cool. He was a beautiful guy, mixed, fit, buff guy, gorgeous, looked like he could be my brother. And I had blonde dreadlocks at the time. I used to have blonde locks down my back for 8 years. I had those. Oh, I love my locks. And he had blonde locks. And so he kind of liked me. And I said, he tried to date me. And I said, listen, we worked on a few movie sets together, and he was stunning. He had the light eyes, and he was gorgeous. But I was not attracted to him because he looked too much like me. It was my complexion. And I said, listen, you could be my brother. You look like you could be my brother genetically, and I'm just not attracted to that. True story. I've never been attracted to a light-skinned, black-white mixed person with natural hair texture like mine. I mean, it would be the equivalent of me like dating Drake. I don't think I would do it. Not that Drake has been calling me, but hey, Drake. I mean, he's Drake, so I'd definitely go on a date with Drake. But he's black and Jewish, right? So, and I'm black and Italian and Argentinian. But just if someone looks too much like me, especially now, I'm not as much caught up in the looks. I think I could get over it, but it would still be a little bit weird in the beginning. And I think I would get over it if the personality and the values were there and everything else was copacetic. But back then I was like, no, I think it was 20, 21. I was like, hell no. You look way too much like me. But he was very sweet, and we stayed friends. He lived in Beverly Hills. I don't know how he swang it. He did something right. He was probably living in a closet in Beverly Hills, but he said he lives in Beverly Hills. And I remember he was like, what's wrong? Because he saw me, and I said, I'm just drained. I'm tired, and I'm like upset. And I can't face any more people. And I couldn't control my emotions. It was so hard. I felt sick almost and upset, and I didn't know what it was. And now, of course, I know what it is. I'm an introvert. It wasn't healthy for me to be that drained, just like it's not healthy for an introvert to be alone for too long. You have to get them out of the house. My cousin's an extrovert. Yeah, introvert, you can leave them alone for a bit. Don't take an introvert to too many parties, and don't expect them to be the life of the party. Not every introvert is like me, and don't expect it. And honestly, it's a lot of work. But it's like saying, take an extroverted person who's the life of the party, and you want her to or him to be quiet, to sit down and not say anything. And it's not okay. They're going to hate that. So personality-wise, these are two different personality types. And I hope that you guys, like this. And I'm not just going on and on about something that you say, I have no idea what she's talking about. It just turned into some story time because I just felt like sharing this on my heart. But truly, we've got to respect one another. In relationships, if you have someone who's an extrovert and you're an introvert and you expect them to be home with you all the time and to do cuddly movie nights in Netflix and chill, and they want to go out and hit the club and party, and you think they're bad for that, it's not going to work. But if you realize that's just their personality type and it's okay for them to want to go hit the club, you let them go hit the club and you stay home with a book and you compromise, it can work. we've got to give each other that respect. In relationships, it's extremely important. Also happens between mothers and fathers and their daughters and their sons, right? The mother might be an extrovert and she wants her daughter to always go out, go meet boys, go out there. And she just doesn't want to. She wants to be in the library. She wants to be, like my big fat Greek wedding, the first one, running the family business with her sweater on and her glasses. And then she gets out there and she wants to do her own thing, but she goes to school and then she meets a man her way. You don't have to be out there in bars and clubs like everyone else. We live in a very extrovert friendly society. I feel like things have tipped a little more on the extrovert side. And we forget that being an introvert is beautiful too. There's nothing wrong if you don't want to chat up strangers, or if you want to talk about your dreams and goals and purposes rather than the Kardashians, Not to say that one personality is better than others. Of course, I'm going to be slightly biased being an introvert. I also love introverts because to other introverts, I'm an extrovert, but I understand them. So I like grabbing them and seeing the little flower blossom, talking to them, pulling them out of their shell, making friends with them, and then allowing them to still be themselves, their nerdy, shy, geeky selves. Because I'm a nerd. Most people don't know that, but I'm quite a nerd. I'm a hidden nerd. I'm a glamour girl. I'm a girly girl. But I also love my Star Wars, my Star Trek, my science fiction, my heavy metal, my tattoos. There's kind of a little teenage boy nerd inside me sometimes. Video games. But, I'm a girly girl, but I'm a dichotomy just like anyone else. Like you're a dichotomy. And you might be, there's also a thing called an ambivert, which is you are extroverted when the situation requires it, and you're introverted when the situation requires it. There is a school of study that says ambiverts don't actually exist, that you're just more of an extrovert or an introvert, that you're always going to be more one than the other. Because if you could classify me, I guess I would say I'm an ambivert if you that did exist. But I prefer to say I'm just a very extroverted introvert, because I can get energy talking to people. But it's usually about subjects I enjoy. I do pick up the energy of the room if it's a social situation. I absolutely can be the life of the party. I absolutely can get into the party and let loose. There is an energy in me that can be like, yeah, let's pump it up. Concerts, events, I am there with bells on, baby. But if we are forced to do socialization and socialize and talk about things and meet this person, meet this, and it goes on and on and on, and I'm forced to be like, oh yeah, so my name's Joy and this, that will drain me. I know that about myself. And a true extrovert, that would energize them. So I also know my social battery, it may be bigger than most introverts, but it's not as big as most extroverts. The limit that I can have socialization is more limited than others. For me, I know that. And I can tell introverts and extroverts, usually on a dime. I can spot the person in the crowd. Most people would never. They'll be like, you're really extrovert. You're an extrovert, aren't you? And I go, you just don't know. You just don't know me. Even I doubted myself before. I'm like, am I? So we've covered some topics here. Toxic positivity, and how this show is not about that. The Joyful Life podcast is not about toxic positivity, but truth and reality and being positive. And I want you to take positivity into your life concerning your mental health, but I want you to be real in regards to if you feel sad or down, it's okay. And we talked about introverts and extroverts and the difference between that. Did I talk about introversion a little too much and not enough about extroverts? Let me know. Let me know which one you are. I'd love to know what you think about this topic and if it related to you at all. And hopefully it helps you in your life to live life joyfully. Take these lessons with you, and I'll see you in the next show next Friday right here on The Joyful Life.